I'm Joe King, reporting for NBC, Nativity Broadcasting Corporation News, and I am live in Bethlehem, Wales. Apparently, Wales is an actual country and not part of England. Who knew? Anyway, due to the recently announced pre-Christmas lockdown, I have been speaking to people personally affected by these changes. First up, here's Joseph, a Carpenter Cum University student studying hospitality and tourism. An unfortunate choice of subject given the current circumstances. Anyway, I asked him why he chose to come home for Christmas.
Well, my fiancée Mary was pregnant, and so I thought it would be nice to bring her home to meet the parents and see my hometown of Bethlehem. Also, Mary's been having a hard time at uni after she posted about having God's child on Instagram. Some commented that she had been sleeping around, and others were disgusted that she had done this to a nice guy like me, which I thought was kind of sweet. So, to get away from the online abuse, I thought what better place to bring her than Bethlehem. Population 150 and no decent Wi-Fi reception at all.
Well, what did your folks think?
Sadly, we only got as far as the garden gate when my dad yelled that we couldn't come in as their grandma staying with them for Christmas, as she would be on her own. As this was the two households, it meant Mary and I would have to go and find somewhere else to stay.
Are there many places to stay in Bethlehem?
Are you kidding? There's only one pub, the Farmer's Inn, but that was closed due to local Tier 4 restrictions.
So, what did you do?
Well, my old school friend's dad has a farm, so I asked if he could put us up for a few nights. Unfortunately, all he could offer us was a barn. On the plus side, it was warm and dry. On the downside, it was built for animals, not people.
What about the local hospital? Surely a barn is no place to give birth to a baby.
Mary was adamant that she wanted me to be at the birth. I didn't want to risk me not being allowed in. And as it happens, the local hospital was full anyway. Apparently there'd been lots of lockdown babies being born around Christmas time this year.
Is a barn hygienic for the birth of a baby?
Well, it was more of a stable, really. There was a horse and a Shetland pony, plenty of hay, and a food trough, which I turned into a make-do Moses basket for the little baby.
And was the godchild a little baby?
Well, no, not really. Mary said afterwards that she could have sworn she'd given birth to a 10-kilogram bowling ball. It was just after we had got him settled that the uninvited visitors started arriving. It was probably then that I started to think that maybe this baby was special after all. I'd been told in a dream that he was, but I just thought put that down to a dodgy kebab.
Well, you would. Thanks, Joseph. We can now speak to one of those uninvited visitors. Sean Barry was one of the local shepherds that night. Could you tell us in your own words what happened, Sean? Sean? You there, Sean? Sean, can you hear me? Sean?
Hello.
Oh, you're not muted. No, Sean, in your own words.
Me and my mates were on a hill after...
Sean! There you are. So, tell us in your own words.
Me and my mates were on a hill after rounding up the sheep for the night when suddenly the sky became a blaze of light and there must have been hundreds of angels in the sky. Then one of them said, "Don't be afraid."
And were you?
Nah, we were furious.
Why?
Well, there we were in another lockdown, and all because people like these had not been obeying the simple rules to keep us all safe. Here, we had a bunch of angels not wearing face masks, not being 2 meter distance apart, and no sign of hand washing anywhere.
So, what did you do?
Well, I backed off a little to maintain 2 meter distance and then gave them a piece of my mind. It's because of reckless behaviour like this that I hadn't seen my gran in months. Then one of them said, "Today in the town of David, a saviour has been born. He is the Messiah, the Lord."
Wow, that must have been amazing. The Messiah being born in your hometown.
Not really. Do you know how many towns around here have someone called David living in them? We had to ask for better directions than that. After saying it was in Bethlehem, he mumbled something about how God put up with us and why he even bothered. Why he didn't just say Dice Barn, I don't know.
So, what did you do next?
Well, we wandered down the hill to Dice Barn, of course. We saw Mary and Joseph there with a baby and something absolutely amazing.
What could be more impressive than the birth of the Messiah?
Di hadn't told us that he had bought a brand new, bright red Massey Ferguson Series 8,740 tractor, 400 horsepower. Well, me and the boys went straight over and started taking selfies with the beauty. Truly amazing.
Never heard of a tractor being more amazing than the birth of the Messiah. What do you think about this, Joseph?
Well, I thought it was a pig in cheek, I can tell you. These unhygienic shepherds came traipsing into the barn, walking straight past Mary and me, and started climbing onto a tractor and taking pictures. Their voices woke the baby.
That was not any old tractor. That was a Series 8,740 tractor. And I'll have you know, we maintain hand washing protocols at all times in line with Public Health Wales advice. We're not the ones making unnecessary journeys during a worldwide pandemic.
Please.
Well, I never saw any hand sanitizer, and there was definitely no 2 metre distancing when you were all taking your photos.
Hey, guys.
We are in a bubble.
Excuse me.
I can see why you lot never went to university if you think a tractor is more amazing than the birth of the Son of God.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to mute you, Sean, and move along.
I was going anyway.
Well, the shepherds were not the only unexpected visitors that night. Zeno, Fo, and Bea are astronomers from the east. Zeno, could you tell us how you came to be in Wales?
Several years ago, we were doing some postdoctoral studies and calculated that Saturn and Jupiter would be aligning in December 2020, and that Wales would be the best place to see this once in 800-year event. So, in February, we set off on our journey, thinking we could explore Europe on our way. Little did we know that there would be a worldwide pandemic a month after we set off, and that we would nearly miss the event itself because it took so long to get there.
Why did it take 9 months to get to Wales?
Well, due to the coronavirus, we ended up being in the travel corridor 1 minute and then being banned from travelling the next. Customs meant we had to keep self-isolating for 14 days on arrival in some places. Also, public transport was limited, which meant that we had to walk for some parts of the journey. And did you see the chaos at Dover?
Well, I know. You must have really wanted to come to Wales.
The Saturn and Jupiter conjunction was the closest it had been to Earth in 800 years. Of course we wanted to be in the best place to witness this event. Unfortunately, we didn't know about the Welsh weather. Otherwise, we would have taken it alone and gone to Hawaii instead.
Yes, it is a little damp in Wales. So, what happened when you arrived in Bethlehem?
Well, there was no surprise where we should go. The clouds broke briefly and the light shone over the barn. It was like a Pink Floyd concert. Inside, there were some strange people taking pictures of a tractor.
Oh, let's not go there again.
And Mary and Joseph were there with their baby boy. We felt so honoured and we bowed down and worshipped the child. Then we gave the parents our gifts.
What gifts did you bring for the Messiah?
Unfortunately, the baggage handlers in Egypt had lost our case with the presents we were bringing, and with the closure of non-essential retailers, we had to buy what was available.
So, what did you give them?
Well, gifts of face masks, hand sanitizer, and a 2-meter ruler.
What were your thoughts on this, Joseph?
Well, the presents were a little odd for a newborn baby, But I understood that people have been stockpiling toilet paper and nappies, so it's probably the only things they could find.
So, that is the COVID Christmas story. I'm Joe King in Bethlehem, reporting for NBC, Nativity Broadcasting Corporation News. Wishing you all, as the locals say, Nadolig La Wen, which apparently means Happy Christmas.